Beaters, widows, bosgulls. I can't stand Caspersight. Whoa, before you kick off, I can't stand Caspersight because when he wears a vest, he don't look like pork wrapped up in one of those nets in the fridge. We're the same age, yet he's got his natural colour hair. He's funnier than me. He's better looking than me. Grrr, how dare you. So, for anyone that's been around the channel for a while, you will remember this video, and that video I regret making. I still regret making, and the only reason it's still on my channel is there were points I made in there that I think were relevant, and the relevant of that is there were fake content creators being pushed as legitimate, maybe. But what I didn't take into account was Ben's own belief system. The fact that Ben is probably more skeptical than I am, but he's far more easily excitable than I am. I slated him for doing an investigation where all his devices were kicking off. And I'm like, how can you not know that it's your phone setting those off? Because you're running all these devices with the internet on and you're live streaming. But it's like the first time he'd been out and tried all these gadgets. How was he to know? Because at that point, I don't think he'd been watching debunking channels. He was just reacting to scary videos, and he went out to recreate those scary videos, and I think the realization dawned on him that it's not that exciting. I don't know, he's never really discussed why he stopped doing them, or maybe he has and I've missed it. But my regret is I went as hard as I did at Caspersight, because I had people in my ear, and these people were like, oh, fucking Caspersight, he's promoting the fake, he's peddling the fake, he's only promoting fake channels and all the rest of it. And yeah, but I don't think it's because he was like the puppet master controlling everything on YouTube. It's because that's what he watches. That's what gets the reactions out of him. That's what gets the shadow bastard and the funny one-liners that he drops that I find myself laughing at. That my daughter watches Caspersight, loves the channel, and is like, oh, have you seen what Caspersight's done now? When I made that Caspersight video, I got a lot of hate, and so did Ben. And Ben put out a video like, you need to stop it, for him and for me, and I respected that. And despite everyone that had to go with me, I had no bigger critic of that video than my daughter, and I felt really horrible about it, but I'm like, but there's these real channels doing the real work. They're going out there week after week producing these videos, and he's not looking at them. But since that time, Ben has worked with channels that I like and that I enjoy. He has gone out and worked with the Ouija Brothers. And that video did very, very well, even though, again, nothing really happened. We've seen him go into haunted locations with another team that a lot of people believe are real. Take my thoughts on it. But for the average viewer that has never gone on an investigation, that team can see very, very real. And while Ben was there, nothing happened. Maybe he's done 2 with them. I think he might have even done 2. Either way. So Ben has put out this video. It's 18 minutes long. A message to all paranormal YouTube channels: stop what you're doing. Now, I have watched this, sort of half-watched it. I've watched it all the way through, but I was doing stuff. And every now and again, I'm cocking my head like, interesting. I don't agree with that. This is not a tirade against Ben. This is not a hate video against Ben. This is not me telling you not to listen to Ben, because I think he makes some relevant points. But at the same point, there are certain things that a real paranormal channel can't do. Case in point, my last paranormal investigation video was Derby Jail with Richard Felix. It was the most polished video that I've ever put out. It looked far more polished than anything else. I had a lot of help from Ghosts on Trent with camera settings, but then I did colour grading and multiple camera angle cuts through the interview, and I added sounds to sort of the transitions between parts of the investigation, and some people were like, you've just done what the fakers do, and I'm like, I'm trying to get some retention, trying to make the video worth the hours and hours and hours it took to edit that thing, all for 6k people to watch, which is kind of sad and soul destroying. That the hardest videos that I make are the investigation videos. They cost the most to make for going out, traveling, hiring locations. They're the longest to edit, especially when you've got multiple camera angles, because say you've got a 6-hour investigation, but you've got 3 cameras, you've just tripled your workload. and then you've got to match everything up, and then you've got to take your external audio and your internal audio and match all of that up, and then you're sat there and you're like, right, I've got all of these hours of footage condensed down into 5 hours, and I've got to somehow condense it again to an hour, make it exciting, make it watchable, even though nothing fucking happened. And I only do this every couple of months or every couple of weeks. This last couple of weeks I've put 3 investigations out, but there are guys that go out every week without fail, make these sort of videos where nothing happens, and they try to make it as exciting as they can. They try to add their own blends of humour and editing tricks and drone shots, all the things that I do. But we'll get into what Ben says and why some of it doesn't work. Why I think some things he says can be implemented and are being implemented. It's easier if we watch Ben, and then we'll discuss.
I've literally just spent the last 25 minutes watching a particular paranormal video, right? Paranormal investigation video. I'm not going to say which channel it was, right? But I thought to myself, I've been taking the UFO alien phenomena like quite seriously lately, and obviously with my ghost reactions it's quite extreme and energetic and hopefully entertaining, okay? And a channel popped up on my homepage. I thought, you know what, I would like to give them a go, because I think there's lots of people. I mean, obviously people watch my reactions to the paranormal and stuff, like ghosts and things like that, because obviously they like something about it, or even if it's just about the paranormal that intrigues them in the hope that they find something real to cement their belief, or whatever. Like, you either really like 100% believe, you're on the fence, or you don't believe and you just find it like entertaining. But I saw this channel. It wasn't a channel that I've reacted to before, and I thought, like, I want to try to maybe do an off-the-cuff video, which is, catering for the people that want real, true, investigations, yeah? Because I do know that...
And that's something that I brought up 3 years ago. Why doesn't he promote the real channels? And I've seen this, so I know what's coming. And he's got a point. How does he do the Caspersight persona, the Caspersight excitement, and the fucking shadow bastard, and these funny one like That's What She Said, and all of this stuff that people love watching him for? How does he do that when there's nothing to shout shadow bastard at, when there's nothing to, oh my god, and run around his room? I understand it, because he is a reaction channel. And when I brought out that video, why don't you push the real channels? Could he potentially damage a real channel by watching it and looking bored? It's something I never considered until watching this.
There are a few channels that debunkers hold high up on their platter of, these are legit channels, and then you go down to the fake channels, and they talk about these particular channels in quite high regard, yeah? Because
I think a lot of the debunkers have a different... I think if all the debunkers did a tier list of the top teams, they would be very, very different, I think.
Because they don't fake things, they do real investigations. But what I find is... a common theme with these channels is their views don't warrant the work that they put in.
I 110% absolutely unequivocally agree. It is far more difficult for the likes of, say, Ghosts on Trent to go out there, film for however many hours they're at a location, and then edit that down into a bite-sized chunk that appeals to a YouTube audience and make it exciting when F and all has happened. And it's kind of sad, but YouTube is an entertainment platform, so I kind of get that.
I've heard that on Beardo's channel.
Oh, fuck's sake, Ben, don't say my name on your channel, you'll set the lynch mob off. I'm joking. I mean, there was one guy in his comment section who was like, Beardo holds down all the real paranormal teams and they downplay the activity they capture to make Beardo happy, otherwise he will smite the channel. That's not the exact words, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm like, do you really think I've got that much control over real paranormal channels? If I told Paul, Steve, Griff, Mark, any of Mike, Adrian, Three Spires, if I told any of those guys how to make their video to appeal to me and to appeal to the debunking community, they would laugh me off the platform. They would be like, who are you to tell us what to do? Back in your box, fat boy. And they would have every right to do it. Absolutely every right to do it.
Where he's like, you've got X, Y, and Z that get hundreds and thousands of views and things like that. And these guys are doing just as much, if not more in some cases, and they're getting a fraction of views.
They are doing more because they don't rely on cheap jump scare tactics. They don't rely on fakery and bullshit. I could go out to a abandoned location, spend 2 hours there, and make what I would imagine would be a riveting fake video that I could pass off as real. And that would be so much more easier for me than taking 3 days at 30 East Drive I spent. And I'm at the point where I'm just binning the footage. I don't see the point in me releasing it. The live streams from East Drive are more fun because I've got multiple camera angles, multiple shots, CCTV camera angles, and nothing happened for 3 days. How in the hell do I put that into a video or 2 videos, because it'll be part 1, 2, or just and nothing happened? And I'm like, do you know what? I may as well bin it. There was nothing really that I could debunk. The only part of the investigation I could put out would be me using a spirit level wrong for people to mock me. It's far, far harder.
And I was like, okay, so let's react to this channel and let's try and help them out, okay? Because I want to help out smaller channels and ones that are legit and cater to the audience that, searching for the paranormal, the real paranormal. And I got through to almost the end. And as a reactor to the ghost paranormal, as in like quite a hyper eccentric type reactor to the ghosts, I felt like I was okay with my reaction through it because I knew it was going to be a lot calmer. I knew it was going to be not my fucking this and this and this and listen to that, rewind that and zoom in. I knew it was going to be quite sort of slow paced.
Please don't call it boring. Please don't call it boring. What I appreciate that he's done here is he didn't name the channel, because what that could do then is people be like, oh, Ben watched that channel, they're boring, I'm never ever going to check them out. And that's not what he's called them. So I appreciate that he didn't say the channel's name, worrying that maybe it could have a negative impact on them. I think that was the smart play here.
But I felt I had to stop because I felt like I was robbing their channel, right? I was like, I was in 2 minds whether to do this. It was like, there's one part of me saying, well, you're really helping these guys and you're really doing it. But the other part was, a lot of it was just me in silence. And I thought, well, I'm just playing their video. And I don't think that's fair. I'm not adding anything into this. So I was in a bit of a dilemma. So you're not going to see, and I'm not going to tell you which one I
think he's done the right thing there. Because despite the things I said in the past, before I understood Ben a lot better, because I agree with him there. Because there was an element, I created carnage with the video I made about Ben and controlling the narrative and controlling the paranormal. It annoyed people on both sides of the community. The people that enjoy fake videos were raging at me. How dare you go at Ben? And I'm like, F you. I was new to YouTube. I was experiencing this insane growth that none of the other debunkers had ever seen before. And I was like some sort of dollar store fat unshaven version of CM Punk, the voice of the voiceless. And I was like, yeah, F you and F anyone that comes at me. And I didn't stop to listen. And then Ben put out his video, Stop the Hate, because he was getting it. I was getting it. I've learned since, if I'm going to say if I'm going to say inflammatory things, then people are going to come at me, and I've got to take that on the chin. And I do take it on the chin almost weekly. I still don't care. What I cared about then was Ben getting caught in the crossfire. And there are still people now that are in my comment section like, you seen what he said? You seen what he said? Go at him. I mean, first of all, he's just lost his mum. Ben, very, very sorry for your loss. Second of all, I've got a history on this channel of when somebody is going through grief, loss, or addiction and stuff, I stay the fuck away from them. I leave them be until they're in a better place. There was one video I got, told, you brought that video out when his mum died, you piece of shit. You told him to F off when he told you his mum died. That's not what happened. It's all online. You can all see it. All the screenshots were used. Somebody lied about me lying about the dead mum, and I'm like, So I can see why people are angry at me. I can kind of see why people are angry at him, because, he didn't listen to Beardo, and how dare he, and he's still promoting this fake crap. He didn't. He changed after that. He stopped reacting to the likes of Really Haunted and Laney and Ben. And I don't know if Ben from Caspersight knows this, but it was Ben from Laney and Ben that kicked me off onto that tirade against Caspersight. Either way, I had people in my ear, and there's still people in the comment section is like, go with Caspersight. No, why would I? He's trying to give his point of view across of why he supports certain styles of content and not others. He is a reaction channel. He's a high energy reaction channel. I mean, technically, I'm a reaction channel. I just happen to debunk. Ben is a reaction channel. That we're kind of polar opposites. He's high energy, fucking hell, and stuff like that, whereas I'm like, oh my god, what is this crap? Like the yin and yang of ghost hunting videos. Oh, and really there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I get annoyed that the fakers are getting more views than the guys that I think deserve it. But Ben's not going to change that. Ben can't change that by putting out a video of a channel and saying, oh, look at this video I've watched. It was really cool. And then he's just sat there going, yeah, that shot looked nice. Oh, that was cool. Ooh, nice drone footage. Ooh, nice B-roll. Nothing's happening. They made it funny. I think it would have done more damage than good. Just my take on that. Whereas I can react to things like that, and those reaction videos don't do well, of legitimate paranormal teams, and be like, hey, look what they've done there. I like this. Ooh, debunking. I like debunking. Ben's not a debunker. So, yeah, if you're in the comment section trying to get me to go with Ben, it's not happening. That's not what this is.
I went to watch and reacted to. But the reason why I'm making this video is because I thought to myself, like, why is it? Well, I know why it is. I know why their views aren't the same as, like, Sam and Colby and all the other big channels. Do you know what I mean?
I'll say this for you. It's because it's not as exciting, because it's not as full of shit. Sam and Colby put on these personas, and they got the bass drops, boom, and then the shouting, the screaming, all the things that annoy me appeal to a younger audience that possibly don't really care about the paranormal. But maybe Sam and Colby are their window into the paranormal. But when these people go and investigate for themselves, they are going to realise how full of shit their idols are. And I think in the future it may bite some channels on the ass, because the younger audience are growing up and have bought these devices and things and realise they don't work the way they're advertised on these shows. And
I don't think it's always the, ladies and gentlemen, we're here at the most haunted house in the USA. Oh my god. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
The stuff that really pisses me off, Project Fear. The shouting and the 20 minutes before you get to an investigation absolutely fries me. But clearly millions of people love it. But to me, it's down to how it's portrayed. It should be portrayed as for entertainment purposes only. This is not a real paranormal investigation, and it should be clearly labelled as such. And then see where the ground lies. But I'm just a guy, you know? I'm a guy with a love of the paranormal. I'm a guy going out there trying to re-experience things I experienced when I was younger, and for the most part, coming up completely empty-handed.
Like, that sometimes sells, yeah? And clearly it does for a lot of channels. But a lot of people don't like that, and they like the little in like the middle, a little bit calmer. But I know why these things, these channels in particular, what I'm talking about, don't succeed in like they don't have exponential growth, and it's because they don't really capture much, right? And hear me out. I'm getting somewhere with this. Please, just hear me out. And so I thought to myself, well, the reason why they're not capturing anything, regardless of whether ghosts exists, okay, is because they're not faking anything, right? They're not got string involved.
Jesus, Ben, you may have angered some people with that comment. Listen, I appreciate the bollocks it took for him to say that. I don't know if he meant for it to come across the way it did, but I respect it.
Edited noises over the top, dramatic things happening, like it's just literally them raw recording, which I think is good, and it caters clearly to a lot of people. I'm not trying to diss on their views, because I've got to be honest with you, the legit, let's just call them legit channels, mate, it'd be a lot of people's dreams come true if they managed to get the views that these guys do. Like,
not only would it be a dream come true to see any of the channels that I support make it massive, you know, all of them with the silver plaques, moving on to gold plaques, it would be a dream come true. Not only would it be a dream come true in regards to their popularity, but what it would do for the paranormal. Because if they did capture something where debunkers and critics and naysayers all go, what was that? Hang on. Hey, Beardo, can you debunk that? No. Could be legit. There's always going to be the cynics that are like, it's not real. And people need to understand that I am not a cynic. I am skeptical. But I'm also a believer. But if one of these real teams was to capture something that could capture, you know, the imagination of, Jesus, did they actually capture full-bodied apparition? Let's take a deeper dive into that. And then all the debunkers come at the end, like, that could have been real. It could have been a trick of the light. It could have been some sort of reflection, but I see no proof of that. Holy shit. That could do wonders for the actual paranormal, the real paranormal. But because of the fakery that's going on in the paranormal, it would immediately be dismissed. We've all had it. The Ouija brothers have been accused of fakery 3 or 4 times in the last 3 years. I've been accused of fakery on investigations because of the most mundane shit. Ghosts on Trent have had it. Recently, Staffordshire Paranormal, they've had it. They've been accused of fakery. And I'm like, oh. And it's because of the fake paranormal, for the most part, that these thoughts are doing the rounds. Because people genuinely think everything is fake. Some people are just cynical, don't believe, will never believe, no matter what's put in front of them. And, you know, I'm never going to change their mind. Any paranormal channel's not going to change their mind. They just cynical, don't believe, think the whole thing's a joke and pointless. And some of those cynical people are my audience. They like my debunking, but they're the first ones to say, hang on, come on now, there is no way you think this could be real. I'm like, well, personal experience.
Like these are tens of thousands of views. In some cases, obviously, hundreds of views, but it's still, mate, I remember my first videos, yeah? I was happy getting 20 views, 10 views. I was happy getting 1 view, do you know what I mean? I was like, someone that I don't know, somewhere on this world has just watched my video, you know?
He makes a good point there. I recently had a conversation with somebody that's like, I'm doing all these gaming streams and I'm only streaming to 10 people, and I'm like, whoa. And I was live at the time. And I was like, let me show you Twitch. What game are you playing? Right, you're playing Warzone. Look at all of these people with 1 viewer. And it's probably them watching their own channel to read the chat. Look at all of them, then the 2 to 4, then the 4 to 5, 5 to 6, 6 to 7. You're there in the tens, which out of the sort of 20,000 people that watch Warzone on Twitch in a day, you've got 10 of those viewers. It ain't easy to do, especially on Twitch where there's no discoverability. I mean, I sit in the 20 to 30, sometimes up to 50 if I'm playing horror bracket on Twitch, which is pretty decent. something that some people never get to. And I'm immensely proud of that. And I'm immensely proud of this channel. I mean, I've recently put out the most edited video I've ever done with the Richard Felix, and I was like, only 6,000 people have watched that. But then I also did, my stream got hijacked by my own chat, which has done better. Minimal editing, and I'm proud of that. People find the community vibes incredible. It's still only 6k to a lot of people. Like, I shouldn't be putting those videos out for the algorithm, but there is a sense of pride with that. There is a sense of accomplishment with 6,000 people watching me be an idiot because I couldn't work out where noises were coming from on my live stream. And if you were out there putting out videos and you've only got 10 views, be proud of those 10 views. Absolutely, I agree with Ben 100%.
So, like, I please don't think of me, like, dissing on them. I'm not. But the reason why I want to make this video is maybe if those channels are watching, and I'm not saying I'm Steven Spielberg or anything like this, but I want to ask you a question, right? And this might help you going forward. If Most Haunted, the British television program, didn't exist, what would your paranormal videos be like?
Would they even exist is the question there, because they were technically the first mainstream ghost hunting show. I've never hidden it. As much as I dislike the show and the bullshit they produced in, after season 1, I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for Most Haunted.
If you had zero influence on any other paranormal channels, what would yours be like? You have to ask yourself that question, because I think that so many people, including myself, right? I've done paranormal videos myself.
And follow
I've
the
obviously
formula.
put my own spin on them and stuff, but I probably never at that moment in time thought to myself, if those other channels didn't exist and do it like strategically like this and X, Y, it's like almost like a blueprint, blueprint, bang. Like, it's just stamp, repeat, copy, paste, go, go, go. These channels popping up. Like, yeah, so ask yourself, what would you do? Because that is, I think, the problem. Maybe, I'm not saying fake things. Please don't fake anything.
Absolutely not, because you destroy your credibility, and if we start losing real channels to fakery, then what's the point in me? What's the point in any of the real legitimate investigators? That's a scary prospect. And I'm glad you said, don't start faking. And I think I remember where this section goes, and it's like, try to entertain, and it's like,
carry on what you're doing. But if you maybe try to think that each video is not a YouTube video. It's not this week we're going here, this week we're going there. Think of your video as a movie.
Now, if you're doing somewhere like the Ancient Ramin that's got that very storied history, you could get away with that. If the East Drive, you could get away with that. You could make some cinematic pieces for your investigation, instead of just showing a B-roll slide across the bottom of the stairs looking up, get somebody to walk across there and then make the image transparent and overlay it, but only for B-roll to retell the story. But when you do that, when a legitimate channel does that, does it then fall into a massive clickbait? Is it then, wow, look at this B-roll, look at these shots, look at, this place has shadow figures that walk across the top stairs, they're going to capture something, and then when nothing happens, do that audience then feel lied to, which would cause them to drop I don't know how many subscribers, potentially, unless you're very clear about it. But even then, the hardcore skeptics, the hardcore true believers will be like, the fuck was that horror movie bullshit there? Why have you done that? And I recently, the Derby Jail thing, the door swings open and it's like, ooh, exciting. And then when it plays out in real time, unfortunately, CCTV has debunked it. What a shame. And then we do the rest of the investigation. And I did the transitions with these horror sound effects to try and make the video look and sound more appealing. And people are like, you've just done the same shit the fakers do. What's with those sound effects? I'm not just trying to produce a better quality of video. Some people think it's the best thing I've put out. Other people are just like, don't do that again. That's the fakers do that shit. Where's the middle ground then?
And what do you feel and what do you see in movies? Like horror movies. The best, yes, horror movies are great with jump scares, right?
If you can't create jump scares in a paranormal investigation if there's nothing there, that's straying into that fake territory. If you're pretending to be scared when you're not, you're then faking.
Hollywood does it a lot. If you want to make someone scared, I know what works, a jump scare. Bit of a tension of the violin going before, and then, no, it didn't happen. And then, it did. Right? Sorry if that scared you.
Shit my pants, Ben.
But the best horror films are the ones that build anticipation and fear without doing a single thing.
I get what he's saying.
And so...
But there's always a payoff. There is always a payoff. For example, Hereditary, you see most of that movie the first time, and you barely see anything paranormal until towards the last quarter. But if YouTubers try to do that, there's no last quarter payoff because nothing has happened. So if I'd done my Derby Jail video differently and did all the boring shit, the interview that looks really polished and nice, and then investigation, and then the door swing to close, by rearranging that investigation and changing the dynamic of that investigation, I've then faked my investigation. I don't know how we could do that without overselling a product, and then the product arrives and it's not complete. Genuinely. Now, I've seen people ramp up tension in videos. I did it in the house Spoongate with those three lovely chaps threatened to cave my skull in. I built up the tension in that because I knew there was a payoff. But if there's no payoff, then how do you build tension without lying to your audience? And I'm not slating him for his opinion here. Maybe there's a middle ground there. I just can't see it myself yet.
Maybe keep that in mind. Remember, what would you do if you were the first person to ever come up with the idea of a paranormal investigation? Like for me, I would try to make it, and almost like as a whole, that video in itself holds everything needed to accomplish a story. A beginning, a middle, and an end. Right?
Yeah, and most of the guys do have that. They do have the beginning, middle, and end. It's like, here's the introduction, whether we do or don't know anything about it. And the guys doing Abandons, they've got it even harder than anyone else because there's no history on these places. So what do? Make it up? Well, no, they can't. So they have to say, we're at this location, there's no history of it. There's your introduction into the investigation, and the end is nothing happened. Or the end is some guys have turned up and threatened to beat us up. Or the end is this really weird thing happened, but unfortunately it wasn't paranormal because we've worked out what it was while checking the footage. I understand what Ben is saying. I just don't see a way for real teams to incorporate it. And if he's got better ideas, if he knows of a way that they could do it without making their audience feel cheated, I'm all ears because I want the real paranormal channels to succeed. All of them. I would like for my paranormal investigations to be 10 times better than they are. But it's really hard to be imaginative with your editing without being fake. In fact, I may do a fake video. I may do a paranormal investigation somewhere reportedly haunted, and without making it a parody, use the tricks that the fakers use, make the video what it is, but make it honestly. I've done things like that, but I've always overacted it and taken the piss out of people. But maybe just, go to a castle and, get somebody to throw a stone off camera and be like, holy shit, what was that? And like, that's a stone. And then at the end, as long as I say, this is exactly what I did. Why I did it is because of this video to see how it would work. But I've bullshitted my audience.
I'm saying this because I want your videos to succeed. And I'm saying you don't need anything particular to happen. But try to think of some sort of storyline, maybe. Like, for example, it could be, this might, off the top of my head, you know what I mean? This might be some sort of
are we then going to stray into creating a fake narrative, which really, really pisses debunkers and real investigators off? There is nothing more soul destroying than going to a house where somebody have said, hey, there was a murder committed at this house. Tons and tons of teams turn up there. Lots of these teams are getting activity, other teams are getting nothing, and then it turns out a year down the road that they're in the wrong house, which immediately undermines all the fakers. The legit guys who... And this has happened. There was a house where people were saying a young girl was murdered. They were all buried on the property and stuff, and it turns out they were in the wrong place. So then all the fakers are like, fuck, damn these debunkers, damn these real channels. How could we have investigated a house that's not actually haunted by what we thought it was? Shite. But then the legit guys then are like the bastards of the paranormal because they've ruined the fun. It's so difficult.
Generic thing. But maybe the video could be along the lines of, let's say you've got a location. You're going to go to this, I don't know, an abandoned hotel or whatever, right? Here's your location.
That's a fault.
Don't start the video like every other people make the videos. Hi guys, today we're in the abandoned hotel. This was built in 1805, and apparently someone was hung on the beginning of the doorway. Let's go and investigate. And you go around, hi guys, hi ghosts, if there's anybody here, right? Fuck that blueprint. Fuck it off.
Right.
How about thinking to yourself, what would I do? What do I need to do to make this video in it like a movie? Okay? Record yourself at home, guys. You're on the PC. You turn around. Hey, mate, have you seen this? Have you seen this location here? I think we should go. Like, I'm not saying act, but legit, have some sort of hidden camera movements, right? You know, I found this location. We're going to go to this location. Oh, and apparently, look at this on the internet I found. Something, blah, 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 blah. So you're having different location swaps. First of all, you've got the build-up, right? The beginning. Okay, we found a location. We wanna go there and explore and find.
Yeah, but you do these abandoned locations, and 9 times out of 10, there's no history to them. So you're just literally going to be recording yourself going, oh, look, this is on an Urbex website. We need to go there, and maybe there's a ghost. Anything above that, then, is creating a false narrative. Unless you go there and you're like, right, this channel's been here, experienced this. Let's see if we can experience or debunk that thing. But that's already been done. Ghost on Trent myself did it at the Jumanji house. People claim there was a demon in that house. We went there, and I went there specifically to debunk other bullshit creators' claims. I'll just say it as it is. And ended up having experiences where I'm like, these guys may have overplayed what was going on, but something moved when it shouldn't have. We heard footsteps and we had a woman say hello. But there was no rhyme or reason to any of it. And then at the end of my video, I'm like, I'm not going to shit on these guys that are throwing stuff about, saying there's a poltergeist demon there, but there may actually be something here.
Find out if paranormal exists. Put that involved. What equipment are you going to need? Right, we're going to have this. We're going to do this equipment. We're going to do that equipment. Be open and honest. And then the travel to that location, right? This helps with the build-up.
It can do, but at the same point, I don't do abandons anymore for my own personal reasons, and so you can't film pulling up to the location and excitement really, unless you only got the camera on yourselves, which doesn't portray the location look well to your audience. Nobody's going to want to watch a car travelling down the M5 and then through some country lanes, and then the camera cuts to a face being like, oh my god, wow, look at it, but then they can't show it because it's an abandoned Urbex location, because maybe Ben doesn't know this, but Urbexers are very territorial about these houses, not because they've been dicks, they don't want these places trashed. They don't want people breaking in, they don't want people going in there making noise, alerting neighbours and annoying other residents. So I don't see how this would work, but I understand where he's coming from. And maybe this is because he doesn't do abandons, or hasn't
and
done
this
it.
Helps with just like getting there and getting the viewers being like, oh shit, they found a location now, go in there. Before you know it, guys, you're already 10 minutes into the video, right?
I can see I can see things that channels could take from what he said there. Maybe not specifically the way he said it, but to make something a little different without it coming across as fake and without it going down the road of like a twin paranormal video where it's like the camera's bouncing off your face and you're like, hey guys, welcome to... And you cut to the car and you're forcing comedy and you're forcing jokes because it gets on my tit. It annoys most people that sit this side of the fence. But perhaps there are elements, you know, like Ghosts on Trent, they try to research some of the locations they go to. They try to find a history. Maybe they could incorporate them looking at the history first. Hey, these teams have gone there, experienced this, said this. We've looked online, we've gone to the local library, but quick cut it and be like, there's no history to support these claims, but we're going to see if we can experience what they have experienced. And then a cut of the car door slamming and then the car pulling off, kind of like the Snatch movie, you know. We're going to England, shot down in airplane, car door slams, airplane takes off, airplane lands, car door slams, and then he appears. Maybe something like that could be done, but you couldn't do it every week without fail because it then just becomes the same cut video. But I see what he means. I don't know if it's practical, but I see what he means.
15, whatever. Whatever pace you want to make it. Then you're there. Get the B-roll, the boom, the music, the dramatic music, the slow-mos of the buildings and things like that going on, right? Mm-hmm. Then you can do like your found footage of, your camera facing at you and stuff like that. Do your section of exploring, and then obviously in the middle, I think you guys are good with cutting, finding the pace to add in B-roll when it gets a little bit quiet, or maybe changing route.
I'm not. I never know when the fuck to put B-roll in, so the only place I put it is when I move rooms. But that's a creative thing with me. It's also a time thing with me because of the amount of content that I put out. So I'm never going to be able to produce one of these over-polished videos. But then, do we stray into that? Look at that introduction. That was fantastic. Look at the shots of them traveling. Look at this. Look at this nice drone footage. Look at all this horror beat music and color-graded and slow-motion panning and red lights backlighting things. And you could make it look really cool and really spooky. But then, you're in night vision with a camera on you. Have you then misled your audience? Not intentionally, but have you misled them for this to be more exciting than it really is? Or do you chop out all of the dull moments and you only get a 5-minute investigation video? Because a lot of these guys don't use equipment anymore because we know it gives false positives. I used equipment last night just because I was bored out of my skull and the equipment didn't go off. So it's just going to be a shot. I got this stuff on the table. It didn't work. Or it did work. It worked properly. It's designed to pick up on specific things. It didn't trigger. There was no ghost in that room.
Rooms and things like that. I'm not trying to tell you the actual blueprint, but come the end, like there needs to be some sort of a grand finale, an ending, or a completion. All right.
A grand finale is impossible if nothing has happened. But a completion, yeah. And I'm thinking back to my video last night. I got so annoyed that I don't think I even did a proper outro. I was literally like, oh, do you know what? I'm calling it. People are being too loud. There's too many people. I'm calling it. So I don't have an ending, and then I've been a grumpy, miserable prick because I was tired and people wouldn't shut the fuck up. For example, like I'm sat in Shrewsbury prison and I've got these high-definition night vision binoculars that can record. Something I've not seen others doing, and I've got them set down this long hallway, and I'm sat with a camera on me, and I'm going to, much like this video, but where Ben is now will be this long shot of a hallway, and then where I'm up here is me holding the camera on myself in night vision, being like, right, the plan is if something does walk out, I'm just going to sit here. Things did walk out. 6 different teams walked through that shot, and I'm like, this footage is useless to me now. I'm going to try and do something with it, but
maybe it starts with something else, like another idea for another video that you mention at the end. I'm just saying, try to be unique, try to be different.
I like that idea. If you've got a couple of videos in the bank that you're editing, like a lot of these guys do, I don't have that luxury. But if you've got a couple of videos in the bank and your investigation has had nothing, but your next one there's something, a little next time, and then you get that horror string rise, and then whatever this event is, and then cut to black. You've created some intrigue for your next video. As long as people have already got through the video of nothing happening. This isn't me shitting on Ben. I think he's trying to help these people legitimately. I do. But are the ideas practical? I think people can take things from this video, but how much could you implement without coming across as fake, without coming across as building suspense and tension that isn't really there? If that makes sense. I'm not shitting on Ben by any stretch. I'm glad he cares.
And I think that your videos will go so much better. Stop with the blueprints. And I'm not having a go at you. Carry on doing it what you're doing. Like, if you're happy doing start the camera, hi guys, we're here. I'm just saying, go against the grain. Tell your viewers.
Yeah, and there are some people that they go against the grain. Three Spires. Lee from Three Spies, he goes against the grain because he shows himself walking to these locations, talking a load of nonsense and laughing and joking, and he's got like some AI music in the background. It's a little different. Some people don't like that, but Lee doesn't care. Not because Lee is an asshole, but because Lee is just like, I'm not making these videos for mass consumption on YouTube. I'm making these videos for me. And I respect that. And he's not going to get those views, but he doesn't care. If he gets views, then he's happy. It's not like he doesn't try to edit or colour grade or... He tries, and bless him. Bless him for trying. Bless him for doing something a little different, even though it's just his comedic skits and walks to the building and walks out. And then when he's in these places, he doesn't behave like a lot of paranormal channels because he fucks about. He laughs and he jokes and it pisses some people off. I find it funny. He'll never win. But maybe there's bits of all of this that we could use in investigations to hold on to retention, maybe, because otherwise, why are we on YouTube? Because you want people to watch you. Most people do. Most people do want the views and do want people to see that the love of what they do, whether it's your hobby, your passion, or your job. I do get what he's saying. I just don't understand how I or some of the channels I watch would implement it.
This is a new style. You want to do it. You want to give it a whirl, whatever. But I'd be really interested to see what happens with your views if you knuckle that down a little bit and just carry on, even if it was the one video. And also for yourself, have that a little bit more of creativity.
I mean, I did that. I did that with the Derby Jail video, and it's one of my worst performing paranormal videos. Investigation videos. It's one of the worst performing ones I've done. And it took me longer than any other video I've ever put out. So potentially it doesn't work. But that's just one case, and it's just me who's not known for investigating.
I've just given you the beginning. It's your job now to find what you need to do with the middle and the end. All right? I'm saying that as if you're going to go and do it. You might be thinking, who the fuck is Caspersight? Mr. Reactor sits there and just, right? I've done a bit of videography. I've done a bit of exploration. And I like movies. I like horror. I like the build-up. I'm just trying to compare your videos to why I watch the fake videos.
I'm glad he's saying fake now. I'm glad he's saying fake. I still don't know if this will work for people, but there's elements of this that people can try. I'm certainly thinking, do you know what? There's certain things in there you could, just to make your video flow better.
The crazy videos, because it gives me that feeling inside. And that's what I'm searching for when I look at your videos. Now, I know it's a big jump, and I know it's something, I don't want you to upset your viewers, upset your subscribers, but I think the true hardcore fans will support you because they know that you're still not faking, right? But they'll see you trying to put some creativity into your videos, right? Trust me, I really think that you need to try something different than the blueprint. It works for the crazy people out there, and it works for like other channels that have already built momentum and stuff like that, and things happen and great, but unfortunately, if your channel doesn't...
It works for them because there's a guaranteed payoff, and none of us legitimate people have a guaranteed payoff.
Pick up on any paranormal activity the video becomes dead and a waste of time. People get frustrated and they're not going to watch again, or they get bored, or they might connect with you, which is great. They connect with you, they invest in you as you are the investigator, not so much about their videos. They just want to support you, right? And I fucking love it. This is why I love YouTube community, right? Because when there's good people, there's real good people.
Yeah, and those communities exist because I've got a core audience of at least 6,000 people that clearly will watch any old shit that I put out. And that's incredible. I think the Weeds Brothers have mastered it, to be fair, where they can just go to a location, their personalities can carry them through. Because if it's a boring, bog-standard night, the humour, the B-roll, the drone shots, and the sort of camaraderie carries that video then. Real Evidence are leaning more into how funny they are off camera. Three Spires is doing it. I've been doing it. I try not to be very, very serious and staunch on my investigations despite being a debunker. There's humour in there. So I see what he means.
Yeah. Let me know what you think. And my subscribers, please pass this on to, share it with debunkers and things and see what they say. I'm fully prepared for anybody to say, Ben, this is the worst fucking idea. But it's just my bit of input.
I don't think it's the worst idea. I think there's a middle ground there where there are elements of things you have said that can be incorporated into legitimate investigation videos to make them flow better. And a story, a beginning, a middle, and an end. I'm not talking about adding anything. I'm not talking about adding a fake history or anything. But to have a completed story and potentially a cliffhanger at the end next time, and then if something has happened, you can insert a clip of that. That's something I think people could incorporate, and it could work.
See these smaller channels ramp it up a little bit. Because if they did as well, and maybe this is a selfish thing, I'm not doing it for selfish, it's like an afterthought. Like my recording now, watching this particular channel that I was watching, I know for a fact that I would finish it and I'd be like, I'm fucking happy with that. Because I can feed off of the adrenaline, I can feed off the excitement, I can feed off of this story. But when it's just camera, face, me, that's not entertainment for me, right?
I get that, but whilst YouTube's an entertainment platform and you try to be entertaining, but you're trying to be, but you're being real as well, it's very difficult to strike that balance.
It's just like, oh come on, is anything going to happen?
No, that's the biggest sort of crutch to everything you've said is 9 times out of 10, nothing happens. And it's a shame, but that's reality. That's the reality of ghost hunting or paranormal investigating legitimately, is that nothing happens most of the time. Or when things do happen, it's humans or animals, and you can overplay that. There's a channel that does it very well. I don't particularly like them. Because for me, when somebody says, oh my God, what was that in the beginning of the video? And then something happens and then you get the shocked faces. And then you get to the end of the video and it's a kitten and they've clearly spotted the kitten but left it out until right at the very end. Then I feel more cheated than if I watch two guys walking around with a camera on their face, turn around, camera face, turn around, camera face, turn around, and then nothing happens. I would rather watch that than somebody lie to me.
Yeah. And please,
that's my personal taste.
Please don't think of this as a dig, okay? Because it absolutely does cater to a large amount of people. But I just think that those people would be happy for you to create something unique. Remember, what would you do if there was no paranormal videos out there and you wanted to create something and the only thing that you thought of was movies, horror films? How would you do it?
I think horror movies is a bad thing to liken your investigation to if you're legitimate. I'm not slating Ben for what he said there, but a horror movie has a payoff. There is always a monster or You know, if it's not a monster, it was somebody whose mental health has been in decline and they've turned. There was no demon, it was a bad person. But how do you incorporate something like that if nothing happens? Do we then have to go down the route of saying, right, if you're a legitimate paranormal investigation team and you put out a video and nothing happens, maybe just don't put it out? Well, some of these guys do nothing, capture nothing, just their experience in trying to capture things, and they do it full time. And that's not what Ben has told people to do, is just stop making videos. How dare you? How dare you put out something when nothing happens? But there's got to be a middle ground there somewhere. I'm not going to rip into Ben here for anything you've said there. There are things that I disagree with. There are things that I'm like, ooh, you could implement something like that, but not in the way he suggested. Like you said, don't do what I'm telling you to do, but there's other things. I'm giving you ideas. A way to make your video, for me, what Ben is saying is, make this sort of grand opus every week. And from what I've taken from that is, make your video flow better, I think. Either way, it's been an interesting thing to watch. It's been an interesting discussion. I've seen Fantastic has done a reaction to it. I'm going to check that out. I've seen the comment section, and some people need to touch grass. There are people in there like, Ben, why are you just talking at a camera? I'm out. I'm unsubscribing. You people that do that, do you just bounce around channels and tell them that you're unsubscribing because you think it hurts their feelings? Or do you need to understand the following? This is not Heathrow, darling. You do not have to announce your departures. Do please let me know your thoughts on the comment section down below. Ben has been respectful. I've been respectful. Keep it respectful. This is a conversation from two polar opposites of the paranormal community. An overreactor, somebody that jumps and screams and very entertaining, that likes to entertain, that likes to be scared. And then there's a miserable fat prick. And somewhere in between, I am sure that some teams could be like, oh, we could use a little bit of this, a little pinch of that, I think. I don't know. Maybe, as Ben said, everyone just wants to carry on exactly the way they go in and be bitter because they don't grow. Because I don't know many of them that are bitter they don't grow. They're bitter that they're being upstaged by fakery, portraying itself as real. That really grips. That really pisses on our chips. There's a lot of the legit guys. I consider myself a legit investigator. I go out and do these things. I spend money hiring locations, filling my car up to get there, filling my car up to get back, buying all the equipment, transporting it, picking people up on the way, editing software, new bits of kit. You put it all together and then you get 6k views, and it can be quite disheartening. And while he's saying put all of these things in and you'll probably do better, he has a point, but I did a lot of those things with the Derby Jail investigation, and it just didn't do that well, despite the things that I did. The time I spent editing it. And yeah, sorry, I am rambling. This is going to be a long video, but it's an important discussion that can be done as an adult conversation without bitching, moaning, shouting, screaming, and, oh, you're fake, you're real. And we know, most of us know where that line is. I think Ben is genuinely trying to help out legitimate teams make a better product, or to at least engage more viewers. And there ain't nothing wrong with somebody that's approaching 1 million views reaching out a hand and saying, why don't you try this instead of this? Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. Probably it won't. But at least he's taken the time to look at these channels and say, it's not for me because it's not exciting. What about? I've got no issue with what Ben have said there. I'm not going to sit here and wag the finger like, how dare you, Mr. Reactor. At the end of the day, he could sit the other side and be like, how dare you say that's fake because you know editing? How dare you say this is too loud and overblown, it's pissing me off? There's a middle ground, and, I don't know if Ben will see this, whether he wants to see this, but respect, I'm sorry for your loss, and genuinely, I am sorry about that shit that I pulled 2 years ago. I was a very young creator. Well, I wasn't. I was old as shit, but new and young to the YouTube thing, and I was waging a war. I'm still waging that war, really, but all I want is honesty in the field. Much love to you all. Beardo, out.